Hi everybody, this is Julie again with Stitches of Love Quilting. I just wanted to show you how I'm going to stitch this cute little free sheep. It's a Knit Happy sheep, but it's not knitting. Knit Happy is the name of our new fabric line with Henry Glass, which comes out in March. And I've used some of that fabric for the sheep. It's little curly cues, gives a little fur effect. And right now I'm stitching the green on this little mound of grass. I'm using the Everstone 25 machine and stitch number 55 set at 1.5 by 2.5 for those of you who have this cute little machine. And it's just a little blanket stitch.
What's your trick with your blanket stitch?
My blanket stitch is I love to have,
you're kind of rocking it right now.
The blanket stitch, for where you guide it, you want to make sure your needle is going to hit. Let me see if I can show you. Can you get in real close right there to the needle?
Yep.
You can see the needle is right at the very edge of where the design is, so that it's going to go. The stitch is going to be on the side there, and it's going to bite right into the color. And then if you watch this stitch, it takes, well, maybe I could slow it way down. It takes 3 little bites on the side and then a bite in. It doesn't ever go backwards, which probably is a traditional blanket stitch would take a backwards stitch. But that gives you, it's more difficult to control. So here we have this little green grass.
Perfect.
Stitched with a nice little stitch. You can see the little straight stitching right on the side. The back looks great. I love stitching through the batting because it gives it a little bit of dimension, not a whole bunch, but enough that it's fun. Now I like to stitch all of, like did this green, so the other part on here that's green would be the straight stitch stem that comes across. This is the stem of the flower, and then around the leaf of the flower. There's different ways you can do this leaf. It's very small, so you could actually do a straight stitch about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge. It is a coaster though, and these should be able to wash well on gentle in the washing machine. I'd still handle them carefully, but doing a straight stitch is going to hold it. Also, the blanket stitch, such as this, would hold it as well. I like to bring the threads to the back and tie them. The reason I use a needle, once I do my stitch around it and I leave my tails of my thread, then I thread it with a needle and pull it back to the back, and then I tie the bobbin thread, which is in this case a 50 weight Aurifil bobbin, and then this is a 28 weight thread Aurifil on top that I like to use when I do the blanket stitch. But I would tie those in a knot on the back twice, 2 little knots, and then snip it closely. That will help secure your thread and keep it from coming unstitched.
And we have a video with that. I'll include a link.
Okay.
So
I didn't do that. I just cut my threads, if you noticed, on the end of this, because they're going to be, this is going to have a stitch around the outside edge and then cut. So it's not going to matter in this particular case. But generally, that's how I do it. Do you want to watch the straight stitch?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to jump back on this machine. It has 3 different levels, so I'm jumping back to a regular straight stitch here. Sometimes I use this stitch, which is I think an elastic stitch, number 3, but I'm not going to do that today. I really kind of just like the plain old straight stitch. This defaults to 2.5, which in my opinion is too long for this sort of thing, so I'm going to drop it down to 1. 3.5 in this case is the needle position, so that doesn't matter because we're doing a straight stitch. So what I do is I just simply put this so that it's going to start where my needle is, right at the edge there. And I've drawn a little pink line using a sew line chalk pencil. If y'all have,
we can kind of see it in the video.
Can you? Okay, good. And so then basically I will just stitch this right along here. And I'll go right up to the edge of where the little sheep thing is, and then because I think that's too light, I come back and I do it again, and one more time, Yeah, I kind of like that, the width of that number 2, just doing 2 stitches there. So there that is. So I'm going to bring my needle up and pull this out, and I'll show you what I mean about tying the knots. Of course, as Brittany said, it's in another video. Some people like to just pull with a pin or a needle from the back, and you can pull your threads to the back that way. I find that a little more difficult when you're using the batting, so that's why I use a needle. I keep a little needle right here in my little pin cushion. It's real easy to thread, and fortunately it was. Sometimes I don't have my bifocals on. Sometimes it's a problem, but that was easy. And then here we have the other one, which is kind of ratty. Let's trim that off. So we'll just put this in here like this. Come right.
Wow, 2 in a row.
Yeah, amazing, huh? It's all those years of experience. That's what old age will get you. Luck sometimes. So then these are so close together, you can just tie them together here. 1 and 2. Just simple little knot. And then I just snip it off. It's kind of like, you know, if you were burying your threads, except in like in quilting, when you bury your thread, you actually would bury it into the batting and such, but we don't have that situation here. So now we have to finish this little guy on the opposite, where it's coming out of his other side of his mouth. So here we go. Right there. And I'm doing a very slow stitch just so you guys can hopefully see this a little bit better.
I'll get in closer for everybody.
And then we come back